listener-supported St. Gabriel Catholic Radio AM 820 brings you Family Sanctuary, a show that inspires living the gospel message in word and deed within our families. And now, Family Sanctuary with host Peggy Hartshorn.
Welcome to the Family Sanctuary, focusing on life-giving relationships and the family. I'm your host, Peggy Hartshorn, chairman of Heartbeat International, that advances life-affirming pregnancy help around the world. And today, we've got, I think, a beautiful program for you. We've had already one other program, which is in our archives, with these wonderful guests that we have today, Bob Ryan and Mary Ginn Ryan. Welcome again to our program, Bob and Mary Ginn.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Well, I loved our program that we've done, and I'm looking forward to an additional program with you. Mary Ginn and Bob have been married for 45 years, and they're members of St. Catherine's Parish. Bob is the president of Ginn Ryan, fourth generation, which is a beautiful family opportunity again. And they're with us today in the capacity as the founders of a wonderful program called Spice that we're going to be talking about, building on the program that they shared with us previously. Their daughter, Megan, the last of their 11 beautiful children, inspired this vocation, inspired this mission that they now have with a program called Spice. And we're going to be focusing in on that today. How this particularly is a blessing to children with special needs in Catholic education. That's what Spice stands for. How do these children, beautiful creations of the Lord, benefit from the program called Spice that God inspired you to envision and then to develop first at St. Catherine's, because your 11th child, Megan, is a Down syndrome, beautiful Down syndrome child. Now, how old is she?
26.
26. Amazing. And she's had phenomenal success, both at St. Catherine's. What high school?
Hartley.
Bishop
Hartley. Then she actually went to a special degree program at Ohio State University.
Correct.
Tops. And now she works in the daycare center at Ohio State?
Yes.
Amazing. What a tremendous girl she is. And outstanding like every one of your 11 children. So tell us, how did Spice begin? Spice was something that came about because of the birth of Megan, right?
Correct.
So what happened as she, I assume, started into school age years? Okay, because Spice stands for Special People in Catholic Education.
Right.
All right. You saw the need for something special for special Megan.
Well, when Megan was born, one of our first reactions were, because of all the 10 other her siblings went to Catholic schools, where she'd go to school. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was really heavy on our hearts. And so, by the time Megan was from birth till 5 years of age, we were constantly at St. Catherine's room, parents, coaches, everything. So when it came to her being enrolled someplace, Bob and I looked around at different school opportunities for her and kept coming back to St. Catherine's. We wanted her to have that backing, that foundation that our other children did. So we made a list of pros and cons of this and went into, at that time, Principal Margaret Crabtree. And Margaret said, so what are you guys up to? And we said, we'd love to talk about Megan enrolling in kindergarten at St. Catherine's. And she said, well, we've been waiting for you. And that was just lifted everything off our shoulders. They were so... Pretty special. No questions asked. They said, what, we want to work with you. We think this will work.
Wow.
And from that moment on, it was a partnership. And it always was going to be a partnership. And we thought that... we knew there'd be extra expense, but we thought we could raise that between our families and friends and everything. And then we thought deeper about it, that it just wasn't a Megan thing, that there are other children. And I grew up with kids that had Down syndrome, and they were, actually they were institutionalized. But other kids, I knew that there were children in the parish that went to St. Catherine's until second grade, and then went on to the public schools. So we knew that this would benefit if we could get the financial resources and the awareness that other children whose parents wanted them to have the Catholic education, they could have it.
Mm-hmm.
So we sat at the kitchen table, and we just came upon SPICE, Special People in Catholic Education.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And so many great things occur around a kitchen table.
Yeah.
So, when Margaret Crabtree welcomed us, she also made the comment that Megan would give more to us than we would ever be able to give to her.
Mm.
And, I say I'm the Archie Bunker of the group. I really didn't get it at the time. And I thought, she's going to give more to us, Well, here we are 20-some years later. And, we were very active parents. This was not our first child. We weren't drop-off parents, so we were there all the time and involved in the school board and coaching. And I had no clue what was happening down there. This was our 11th child, and with Megan, we would have these meetings, a lot of meetings, and the principal kept saying, we do this for a lot of people, we were humbled. We were kind of somewhat embarrassed. We thought maybe they were giving us preferential treatment. And then somewhere along the line, we realized they really were doing this for other people.
You didn't realize.
A lot of other people. And
Sure.
On our 11th children, we never realized that.
Mm-hmm.
And when that realization came about, we thought, this is a story that needs to be told.
Mm-hmm.
And to help within their meager budget of what all they're doing. So that's where SPICE came about.
I think you said, Mary Ginn, as we were talking about the program, all of us have special needs.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Sure.
Whether we know it or not.
Whether we want to admit it or not.
Right.
And so what you're saying is the school was already personalizing their approach to these children. The school was already taking each one as an individual, a special child.
They were,
Mm-hmm.
and unbeknownst to other than the people that were getting the care.
Sure.
And
so Megan wasn't alone.
No.
There were lots of other children that had special needs. But as you said, Mary Ginn, traditionally, maybe they had gone to the Catholic school for 1 or 2 years and then had gone to the public schools because they provide additional programs, I suppose.
Right, when they have the state support.
Sure. And now I think they're required to provide programs at the same level for every student. So they have that taxpayer support, but SPICE then can help provide the additional support, the additional consultation for schools.
confidence, I think, is probably the biggest thing. Not that we're not living in an unreal world that not everything can be done, but I think so. SPICE, our mission is kind of threefold: to raise awareness of special needs, that they do exist, which surprisingly a lot of people don't realize that, or won't come to that realization.
Mm-hmm.
And that SPICE helps raise money to help meet the special needs that are being met, and then to serve as a model to other parishes around, both within the diocese and beyond, that these things can be done. So when I say confidence, I think I don't know how many other parishes have had a Down syndrome child go through, 20 years ago, go through 8 year kindergarten through 8th grade. We weren't aware of any. I mean, we had no roadmap. We had looked around all over the Midwest for some kind of a model. Really couldn't find one. So I think it's been good that people see that this can be done, and you can do it without a roadmap. You just need to say let's roll our sleeves up and go to work here.
Sure. You can do it without a roadmap, but it's sure nice to have one now that you have SPICE. Saves a lot of work.
Hopefully, yes. Yeah, no sense reinventing the wheel. That's for
right.
Sure.
So it was in 1999, a little over 20 years ago, that you actually put a name to this.
Correct.
You were probably already doing it with Megan along the way, but you said, let's create a program or let's create a model and let people know about this.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's not only the main emphasis is parish wide. Spice is parish because we came to realize that there were people in the community participating in church that needed large print missalettes or the hearing aids for masses, and we thought they need to be included too in this ministry.
Right.
So Spice Ministry has gone out to the parish, and if there are needs, then we try to meet those needs or address those needs. One of our a great story is we have a St. Patrick's dinner dance every March, around March 17th. And it's not really a fundraiser per se, it's more of an awareness event. And there was this lady in our parish who lived right down the street from St. Catherine's who was paralyzed and could not get out of the house. She couldn't get out of the house. Very limited mobility. Anyway, we said, we'd love to have you come. Or she said she loves listening to the music, the band that's playing during the dinner.
She can hear it from her house?
She can hear it from her house. And she said,
great.
Why don't you come to the event? She said, well, I can't because it's not wheelchair handy or accessible. So here we are, an inclusive ministry, and we couldn't even get the people, our parishioners, in there.
Wow.
So, within a month, we had a ramp to going into, and that's
Good.
Yeah, and the neighbor
One thing
would
leads
come
to
to the
another.
party and sing Danny Boy every time. Ford had a beautiful voice. She just couldn't get into the party. So,
isn't that great?
So,
Yeah.
it was a lesson to us. And
Sure.
you think you know what all special needs are, but it's an ever learning process.
Sure, but as you said, you have to have your eyes open that there is a special needs.
Right.
I think you mentioned, would you mind telling the story, Mary Ginn, of offering to let all the priests in the diocese know about Spice?
Throughout the years, we've, Spice we felt is not something that we could force on a school or a parish. There had to be a willingness between the parish or the pastor and the principal. But so we've given some meetings trying to help them navigate through this. And there's a lot of fear of that, Spice is going to take away from, some other fundraising they're doing, or their parish is going to be known as a special needs parish, which is not. So you try to get rid of those myths. So this one year we went through and I called all the pastors in the diocese and said, if you need help starting a Spice program, we'd like to talk about it. Just let us know. We'd love to come and visit. So I got a call back from one of the pastors in the diocese, and he said to me, thank you very much for this, but we don't have any people on our parish that have special needs. I was like, wow, where are you? And what are you guys doing? But, 3 years later, he's on the phone to me saying, we need to meet. Because we want to start this program in our parish.
Wow, isn't that great?
Yeah.
I mean, somehow his eyes were opened.
Right.
And I think that's a very important point, Bob.
Yeah. We've just seen some wonderful things. The joke is that we do travel. So if anybody, ever is interested in learning about Spice or what we've done and, kind of our journey, we're more than happy to go talk to the pastor, the principal.
It's wonderful. And it's like planting the seeds because you don't know exactly when those seeds are going to bloom. It took 3 years for this pastor to have his eyes open to see the special needs in his parish and be wanting and willing to do something. Let me reintroduce our guests for the program. Today, we're visiting with Bob and Mary Ginn Ryan, who are the founders of Spice, Special People in Catholic Education, which is a program for Catholic schools and parishes, entire parishes, to try to help them develop the sensitivity and the programs and the funding that they need to really be welcoming and provide what the Lord would have us, the love, the support, the education, the resources for people with special needs. And their story was inspired by their birth of their daughter, Megan, their 11th child, who was born with Down syndrome. So she was the first Spice baby, so to speak.
Right.
And many from then on, I'm sure. So the program started at St. Catherine. And for those who are already saying, I need to know more about this program, we'll mention this at the end again. But there is a website, www.spice, SPICE, at St. Catherine, ST, Catherine.com. Is that correct?
And Catherine with an A. Yes.
Catherine with an A.
Yes.
I didn't know we spelled it any other way.
E-R.
Oh.
E-R-I-N-E.
E-R. Oh.
Well, St. Catherine is with an A, but it always gets mixed up.
C-A-T-H-A-R. I had misspelled it.
Yes.
C-A-T-H-A-R-I-N-E.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Wonderful. .com. So Spice was started about 20 years ago. You travel, you train, you meet individually with pastors, you talk to people on the phone who would like to get something started. How far has Spice actually spread now? Spread outside the Diocese of Columbus, I assume.
Right. And it's hard to keep track because, I mean, our thought and our hope is that most of the schools are doing intervention for children with special needs. They might not have a program like Spice in place, but they are trying to meet the needs of other individual students. But we've traveled to Texas. We had a group, a whole parish ministry group, come from St. Louis, flew in from St. Louis and spent the day at St. Catherine's learning about Spice. In the fall, we were just in Washington, D.C., talking to school administrators there, and in Dayton and Kentucky and Louisville.
Right.
So we've gone.
And there's a number of parishes in the city that have,
right.
started and have a very successful program. For 20 years, we've always kind of struggled as to what do you call this? Program was kind of what we came up with, but it really was a little bit more. Program wasn't really the right word.
Program.
And I think Mary just said, this really is a ministry,
more than
a program. So
that's a good term.
And I think parishes, are doing great things out there. And Mary Jen said, most of them are doing the intervention and trying to meet the needs of their parishioners. They're just not talking about it.
I was just going to ask you if there is does your website have a place where people can share stories? That would be very nice.
It does not, but that's a great idea.
You need a web host.
We need a webmaster other than me.
Other than you. Oh dear. One of your 11 children. How about that?
That's a great idea. But
because the stories are so beautiful, I'm sure.
What Spice has done is help create a culture where parishes,
within the parish,
families, people can talk about their special needs.
Sure.
That kind of helps lift the taboo and that people know they're not alone, and that other people are encountering the same experiences.
Sure.
When we first started Spice, and our principal had like a town meeting for the school and was introducing at the beginning of the year, and she did it every year, would introduce all the homeschool and the athletics, all the different programs. And she said, this year we have a new program, that's geared to address the special needs and help, raise awareness of them. It was called Spice. And it was a funny reaction. There were a couple of parents, and most of the school parents were at this meeting. The whole gym was filled. And a couple had questions about, is this going to take time away from our children, our, resources? And this very popular dad, the typical kind of coach guy that everybody looked up to, he stood up in the middle of the whole gym and turned around and said, I just want to tell everybody here that if it wasn't for what St. Catherine's and Spice is doing, my son would not be able to be here, that he's dyslexic. And, you could have heard a pin drop.
Great.
I still get chills when I think of the moment. We often wonder, would that have really happened if people hadn't started talking about special needs and kind of the awareness that they, and I think this fellow realized that he wasn't alone and that St. Catherine's was doing great things to, help his son. And he was happy to tell everybody.
Sure.
Would that have happened 5 years earlier? I don't know. But
that's beautiful.
No, I think that's one of the beauties of the whole kind of, it's not just spice. It's a lot of the world has changed. We're all hopefully getting a little smarter, a little more accepting.
More compassionate.
Yeah.
More compassionate. And there are so many special needs around us now that we
more
see.
More so now than ever before.
Are our eyes just opened, or are there more? I don't know. But let me ask about Megan. What does she think about spice? I bet she would be a great ambassador. Has she ever come with you or had an interest in the ministry itself?
She does. We'll be going to meetings or, someplace, and she'll be very curious as to, what we're going to talk about. And when we get back, how it went and all that.
We really haven't centered it on her.
Yeah,
no, I'm sure you haven't. But
she could do a great job. She's really got pretty much of a ham on the.
Get a little video of her on the website.
We'll have to work on that
when you get your new webmaster.
This program up at Ohio State, she is kind of she does a lot of appearances and she's kind of a poster child for that, which is neat. And she's a good one.
It just for some reason, I popped into my head the image of Wendy's. Wendy was the daughter of the founder of Dave Thomas, right? And now most people don't realize that, but her picture is everywhere.
Right.
I'm thinking of Megan in that little circle. She's what God used to really prompt you into a vocation and a ministry, which is amazing. I think that's a beautiful story. Happened with my husband and me with pro-life.
Right.
What happens in your own life is what God uses to really build a call. And then he uses that, to expand not only yourselves and your family, but to bring blessings, to so many others. And hope. Absolutely. Right. Hope and help and support.
Right.
Yeah.
We often use the scripture, let the children come to me. And we add on to that, Christ didn't say, let those with blue eyes and blonde hair come to me. He said, let all the children come. And I think we use that often, and I think people need to keep that in mind, that, we're all invited. And we're all different, yet we're all parts of the same body.
Sure.
And, we need to keep that in mind and think about it.
Absolutely. And your ministry is a beautiful example of that. Well, tell me about some of the other changes you've seen in St. Catherine's or other parishes that, obviously the sensitivity that develops. You told us the story of the lady who lives nearby but couldn't get to anything at church. You didn't have a ramp. All of a sudden, a sensitivity has developed.
So St. Catherine's is in the middle of a very large capital project. And it's been wonderful, over $8 million. And when they announced that, we were involved in it, we just kind of shook our heads and wasn't sure it was possible. Well, they very quickly raised the money, and it's wonderful. It's going to be it's a very needed project, and it's going to be very special. But as they got into it, they needed to do some value engineering. And, of course, the first thing that can come out, if it's possible, is the elevator. So they're putting this new structure up and decided that they couldn't afford to put an elevator in it. And they were able to somehow or another get away with that. And Spice, Mary Jen and I on our Spice advisory board said, this just isn't acceptable to the culture that we've seen grow here for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And so Spice came up with a matching grant.
Oh, good.
And we've raised the money, and the elevator's back in.
Oh,
so,
wonderful.
Wonderful.
But it also shows the importance, I think, of this is not a message that needs to be expressed once in the development of a Spice. We now have a program, it's Spice. No. It's constant. My husband and I, again, with pro-life, we see this. You think the message has been received, but it has to be spoken again and again and again.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. It's pretty unbelievable at times, but you're right.
God's called some of us to not stop speaking, right? We have to be that little gentle nudge.
Continually.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the Ryan philosophy where two or more are gathered, somebody needs to speak. So, that's our job. So.
But God gives us that call, and we thank God for that. Right. A real meaning in our lives, and something that we can say, God, you did it. There was just something little that we did. There was something that we have to keep doing, that we have to keep speaking. But look what God does with that.
Mm-hmm. And every crossroads that we've encountered in the last 26 years. God put somebody wonderful in our lives that just kept,
He keeps providing the resources, doesn't He?
Pretty phenomenal.
Yeah. But you notice He doesn't do it ahead of time. That keeps our faith strong. Right. We just have to keep moving ahead in faith, and then we see what He provides. Right. Yeah, He doesn't give it to us ahead of time. But that keeps our faith strong, and then we know it's not us.
Amen.
It's God.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
So that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being our guest today and for sharing with us your ministry, the SPICE ministry, Special People in Catholic Education. And our guests have been Mary Ginn and Bob Ryan. We have another program in our archives with them, with a beautiful story of their daughter Megan, Down syndrome. And I want to refer you again to the websites. If you're particularly interested in the Down syndrome, it's dsaco.net, Downs Syndrome Association of Central Ohio.net. And for SPICE, it's spice at Saint St. Catherine, CATHARINE.com. All right, so you can find out more about SPICE and the beauty of this ministry. Thank you again for being with us. Thanks to our guests, and you are listening to St. Gabriel Catholic Radio with archives at stgabrielradio.com under the Family Sanctuary. And we're also streaming live on stgabrielradio.com. Our program is broadcast at 4 o'clock every Saturday and 2 o'clock on Sunday. So join us again to strengthen our families and make them sanctuaries of life as God intends.
Family Sanctuary is a production of listener-supported St. Gabriel Catholic Radio, AM 820. Archives of Family Sanctuary with Peggy Hartshorn are available at stgabrielradio.com.